the Senate just voted 45 to 55 to reject keeping the government open, and it's all because Democrats refuse to let the SAVE Act pass, the bill requiring proof of citizenship to vote. Chuck Schumer literally said he'll force an extended shutdown if it reaches his desk, but here's the part they do not want you thinking about. It's not just about government funding anymore. This is about the future of American elections. Democrats would rather shut down the entire government than require proof of citizenship to vote. Think about that. They're willing to furlough federal workers, disrupt services, and create chaos rather than ensure only citizens vote in our elections. Meanwhile, they're also approving kill switches in your car that can remotely disable your vehicle during emergencies. The same government that can't keep itself funded wants the power to turn off your transportation. You see, this is about control, pure and simple. They need non-citizen votes to win, and they'll burn it all down to protect that advantage. Now, you know what won't shut down? Your ability to make a statement that shows exactly where you stand. You ever see something and instantly know it's going to turn heads? That's exactly what happened when I saw these Trump Never Surrender gold sneakers. These aren't subtle. They're not supposed to be. Gold finish, red, white, and blue details, never surrender right on the shoe. You put these on and everybody knows you're not backing down from this fight. Well, Democrats are surrendering America's election integrity. You can literally wear Trump's fighting spirit. These shoes say what we're all thinking, that we're not giving up on America, and that's the energy that we need right now. There's a link in the description. Get yours now before they sell out, because surrender is not in our vocabulary. But Ron Johnson just exposed the real game here. He's been in Congress 15 years and says appropriators actually like shutdown leverage. They use government employees and the public as pawns. 6 appropriations bills passed out of 12, a 96.7% failure rate. This is not incompetence. It's called strategy. Now Congress has approved kill switches in every new car going forward. They can remotely disable your vehicle during any emergency that they declare. Now here's the Horizon posting. The government shutdown. Senate voted 46-54 to keep the government open, and it failed. Democrats tied it to DHS funding. Some Republicans voted no, too. Shutdown 2.0 on the horizon. Here's the moment of the vote. Motion to invoke cloture on the motion to proceed. H.R. 7148, the Consolidated Appropriations Act. The Senate failure is sparking Republican counter-strategy. Now House conservatives are plotting their next move. Support is mounting for Representative Anna Paulina Luna's procedural maneuver, forcing the Senate to vote on passing the SAVE Act if Chuck Schumer sends the funding bill back to the House.
Bills have to come back to the House. And so I've actually formed an alliance with a handful of other Republican members that will refuse to vote on any legislation to send it over to the Senate unless there's something specifically placed in it, and something called a rule that would prevent the Senate from stripping out the SAVE Act. So it would force them, if they choose to shut down the government, when they choose to reopen it, they will have to also then to simultaneously vote on the SAVE Act, which would basically save our country with election integrity. So we can play this game of chicken, but I do have a handful of Republicans that will stand with me very strong and ensure that this is done on behalf of the American people. So we're here to deliver.
Congresswoman, I tried to understand.
Yeah. If there's one thing we need right now, it's the SAVE Act. The procedural chess match is heating up. Now we see Democrats firing back with their own hardline stance on the SAVE Act. Chuck Schumer announced Democrats will block any attempt to pass voter ID and citizenship to vote in the Senate through the SAVE Act, saying it's DOA in the Senate. It imposes Jim Crow restrictions on voting. He admits to cheating, and of course the calls to nuke the filibuster are climbing. Schumer's rejection isn't happening in a vacuum. The government has actually begun shutting down while the political standoff intensifies. U.S. government partially shuts down. Senate passes $1.2 trillion budget. House fails to act. Non-essential workers furloughed. Markets shrug for now. Yeah. So as federal workers get furloughed, the pressure is building on Republican leadership to take more drastic action against Democrat obstruction. Pressure on Senator John Thune is hitting a new high to nuke the 60-vote filibuster after Schumer vowed to block the Save America Act, voter ID and citizenship requirements forever. Enough games, enough fraud. End the zombie filibuster. Pass it with 50 votes.
Repeatedly urged the passing the Save Act as well as many MAGA Republicans. What is the holdup in the Senate? Why hasn't that been brought to the floor for a vote? And what's your stance on requiring proof of citizenship to vote in elections?
Well, I'm for that. I've co-sponsored the SAVE Act in the past. I think my understanding is that they are still modifying the bill. It includes right now a requirement that you be a citizen to register to vote, but it doesn't include a requirement that to vote you be a resident. So in other words, if you're going to have what we call voter ID or photo ID when somebody goes into the ballot box to vote, that's not currently covered in the bill. So that's being fixed and addressed, and I think the new bill that comes out hopefully will deal with that. But I mean, at some point we'll have that vote. I'm for it. I think most of our colleagues in the Senate are, and I don't, it hasn't had consideration in the relevant committee yet. But I know there's a high level of interest among our members in getting a vote on SAVE Act.
So do you hear what he said? They have to modify it. Because right now, it's just to register, not to actually vote. But the filibuster pressure on Thune is translating into grassroots momentum, and Polina Luna's tactical approach is gaining serious traction among activists. Gunter Edelman writes, support is surging for Polina's move to force the Senate vote on the SAVE Act if Schumer sends the funding bill back to the House. I believe this is the same clip. Yes, this is the same clip again that's been circulating wildly on X. Luna's procedural gambit is becoming a rallying cry, and Republicans are coalescing around the nuclear option approach to force the Democrat hands. Lance writes, enough is enough. Nuke the filibuster. Chuck Schumer just announced Democrats will block any attempt to pass voter ID and citizenship vote in the Senate through the SAVE Act. Yeah. The filibuster debate reaching a fever pitch. Senate leadership is facing unprecedented pressure to abandon traditional rules. And as you know, President Trump himself has already been telling them, get rid of the filibuster, get rid of it now. It's one of the biggest roadblocks to his America First agenda. Pressure exploding, enough games, end the zombie filibuster, pass it with 50 votes. Senate Democrats voting to shut down the government with a 45-55 vote. Everyone needs to realize what's happening. Democrats are willing to let every family in the country on food stamps go hungry to stop ICE from deporting their illegal voters. The human cost is becoming the political weapon, but some are stepping back to question whether the whole system is just fundamentally broken. The recount writes, it's government shutdown time again, which seems like the perfect time to talk about Congress's dysfunctionality.
Scale of 1 to 10, how dysfunctional is Congress currently?
I mean, this has got to be like a 9.5. Like, I think a 9.5 right now.
Well, the 10, I think, is the most productive, right?
No,
So
most dysfunctional. Yeah. Whatever scale makes you sleep better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 9.5 because you guys have kept your speaker for more than 6 months. So
We get 0.5.
Yeah, you get 0.5.
Yeah, we'll take it.
0.5
That's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, dysfunctional. Certainly. While critics debate dysfunction, hardcore conservatives see this as the ultimate test. Will Republicans finally force the citizenship voting issue? Chuck Schumer says he'll force an extended government shutdown if the SAVE Act requiring proof of citizenship to vote reaches the Senate.
Of workers, we have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
He knows. Schumer says the SAVE Act will be dead on arrival. The hardline stance is prompting calls for systemic reform. Some Republicans want to eliminate shutdowns entirely as political leverage. Senator Ron Johnson Congress should pass my Eliminate Shutdowns Act, or at least my Shutdown Fairness Act, to ensure the government continues functioning to minimize the harm of congressional dysfunction. Unfortunately, uniparty appropriators want the leverage of shutdowns.
Well, what we should do is pass my Eliminate Shutdowns Act, or at a minimum pass the Shutdowns Fairness Act, so the government's going to continue to function even if we're dysfunctional. I've been there for 15 years. We should have passed 180 appropriation bills prior to the fiscal year they're going to fund. We've passed 6. It's a 96.7% failure rate, but the uniparty appropriators like the shutdown leverage they have, basically using government employees and the public as pawns in the dysfunctional game. That has to end. Eliminate Shutdown Act would end this. Shutdown Fairness Act would at least pay people that, they're going to get paid anyway, but you pay them on time.
Ron Johnson laying it out. But even as some seek procedural solutions, others are raising alarm about government overreach in a completely different area. The control extends far beyond voting. The government just put a kill switch in your car and called it safety. A man went viral after pointing out that Congress has now approved technology requiring new vehicles to include a remote shutdown capability, a literal kill switch that can disable your car.
See this? So Congress just determined that every new car going forward has to include a kill switch, which gives them the ability to turn off your car if they so choose, that you're in a state of emergency. Really interesting. This is so Orwellian that Orwell himself would not believe it, and we need to start being very honest with each other as citizens of the United States. Our government, Congress, does not represent the voice or the will of the people, which was supposed to be their job originally. And if we do not fundamentally change the way our government behaves, we are forever lost as citizens because they're all bought and paid for, and they do not care about us.
What do you think about that? Kill switch in your car? From kill switches to voting rights, the control theme brings us back to the immediate crisis, the government shutdown that just became reality. The Senate rejecting keeping the government open, 45 to 55 vote as Democrats hold DHS funding hostage. So here is what is all really comes down to. Democrats know they can't win if only citizens vote. Schumer admitted it by threatening to end shutdown, ending an extended shutdown over the SAVE Act. They need those non-citizen votes, and they'll destroy government function to protect them. The mask is completely off now. See, the SAVE Act isn't radical. It's common sense. Requiring proof of citizenship to vote should be automatic, not controversial. But Democrats would rather watch the government burn than to let it pass. They're showing you exactly who they are and what they prioritize. It's not American workers. It's not government function. It's not even basic election security. It's power at any cost. When someone shows you their priorities this clearly, believe them. Do you think requiring proof of citizenship to vote is too much to ask? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you're not backing down from this fight either.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.